Hi guys and welcome to the Pet Quarter. In this video I am going to review 8 dry dog foods that in my opinion and in our opinion are not very good for dogs. Especially if your dog is itching, especially if your dog has diabetes, especially if your dog has any sort of health problem, any sort of recurring allergy, any sort of recurring health issue. These foods will not help. Before we even start, I want you to recognize that we are not biased when we review any of these foods. We simply want to look at the ingredients and we want to help people like yourself in order for you to understand what's a good food and a bad food. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the ingredients actually. So what you can do is always read the ingredients, always do your own research, and especially if your dog has any sort of recurring health issue, the food could be the actual problem. And even if a food gets recommended or gets quote unquote prescribed, you should always read the ingredients, and if anything looks vague, I wouldn't feed it. So that's the caveat I want you to take away from this video. So with no further ado, we are going to go over these 8 foods that in our opinion could be making the problem worse. The first one is the Pets at Home dry adult dog food, chicken and vegetables. And if you look at the ingredients, they are pretty poor. We have the first ingredient as cereals, the second one is meat and animal derivatives, of which 4% is chicken. The rest, we do not know what it is. So the 96% remaining of the meat and animal derivatives could be anything. Could be any meat and animal derivatives, only 4% chicken. And then we have vegetables with 5% peas and oils and fats. So if your dog has an allergy or your dog has any sort of problem or intolerance to a single protein, to a particular ingredient or a particular protein, by you feeding meat and animal derivatives and cereals, you could be potentially feeding the dog something the dog is allergic to. So that's something to bear in mind. This is a pretty poor food. The first ingredient should be something more specific. It shouldn't be cereals. Dogs have a hard time digesting carbohydrates. Can they digest some carbohydrates? Yes. Is it advisable to feed them large amounts of carbohydrates? It isn't. Meat and animal derivatives, this food is very poor. The second food we are going to look at, it's the Harrington's Complete Natural, and the variety I have here is the small breed, but all of them are very, very similar. Whenever you step into a brand, the quality of the brand will be very, very similar, irrespective of what they say. Again, we have lamb and meat meals. We have 26%, out of which 6.5% is dried lamb and 95.5% is a meat meal. Again, we are talking about a meat meal. Whatever a meat meal is. It could be lamb, it could be chicken, it could be turkey, it could be beef, it could be anything, or it could be different things with different batches. We do not know, they do not want to tell you, or they reserve the right not to tell you, and that's okay. But by the same token, if your dog is allergic to this particular meat meal in this batch, your dog could be suffering because you do not know what you are putting in your dog's diet. The next ingredient is rice, and dog get no nutritional value from rice or maize or barley or maize protein. And then we have poultry fat. Remember that anytime you feed your dog rice, maize, barley or maize protein, dogs make their own blood sugar. It's called gluconeogenesis, and they do not need any carbohydrates. So if you are feeding them large amounts of carbohydrates, your dog will have a hard time breaking them down in the pancreas and liver. So any excess calories will be stored as fat. If you ate pasta 5 times a day, yes, it might be low fat, but you are going to put weight on. Why? Well, excess adipose tissue. You put weight on, basically. Again, with rice, if you cook rice, rice expands to like 2-3 times as much. So feeding large amounts of rice isn't beneficial for dogs. So again, yes, lamb and meat meals, unspecific, we don't like that. And then we have 21% rice, maize, barley. Those are inflammatory ingredients, not the best for dogs. Poultry fat, again, is it duck, is it chicken, is it quail? We do not know. And then a tiny amount of freshly prepared chicken, and that is 4%. Freshly prepared chicken should be a lot higher and not 4%. Overall, this is not a very good food. Harrington's, very popular food, but not a good one. The third one is the WAG, and this is the Meaty Goodness Complete. We have a winner chicken dinner here. Again, the nutrition, we have 26% meat meal and gravy with minimum 5% chicken. The rest, we don't know what it is. It's meat meal, again, is unspecific. So if you are having a dog with a problem, with an allergy, again, feeding the dog meat meals isn't very good. The second and third ingredients are whole grain wheat and whole grain barley, and these are really bad fillers. So whilst the first ingredient is meat, we see that it's unspecific meat. And whole grain wheat, whole grain barley, maize, 2% chicken fat, which is okay, but that's only 2%. And there is not that much to the recipe beyond that. So WAG, again, not a good bag of food. These bags are cheap for a reason. They are very cheap, they're very affordable, and they are cheap for a reason. If something is too good to be true, guess what? It is. The fourth one is the Baker's Meaty Meals. So we have here one of the most popular foods on the market, and it is owned by Purina. Again, the first ingredient is cereals. We have 48% whole grains, so 48% out of the whole bag is the first ingredient and is a filler, is a cheap filler. We then have meat and animal derivatives, 20%, of which only 4% is beef. And then we have glycerol, oils and fats, and other stuff that is just, this food is literally not that good at all. Cereals, 48%. Meat and animal derivatives, 20%, only 4% beef. So they put on the front adult with beef, and this with nomenclature always tends to indicate that there's only a tiny amount. The minimum legal requirement is 4%. So anything that includes with chicken or with beef, it'll be 4%. Because why go the extra mile when you can just put their bare minimum for your customers and charge them the same, right? You wouldn't go the extra mile, would you? These companies are a business and they want to make money. They don't really care about your dog all that much. Otherwise, they'd be making better food, in our opinion anyway. So the next food we have is the Dr. John, and again, there's so many varieties. Dr. John is an incredibly popular bag of food. It's an incredibly popular and long-lasting brand. They've been around for a long time, and the nutrition and analysis here is not very good. Again, we have cereals, we have meat and animal derivatives, we have 22% chicken, but the rest of the animal derivatives, we don't know what they are. So it's the same old story. And then we have oils and fats, of which 1.25% is fish oil, which is great, omega-3s, anti-inflammatories, all that. But we have oils and fats, unspecific oils and fats, and cereals and meat and animal derivatives. You want to stay away from things like these. Next one we have is IAMS, and we have the fresh chicken adult one here, and the composition is dry chicken and turkey, 30%, including 18% chicken. So the first ingredient is dry chicken and turkey, which is good. So they put 18% chicken in the first ingredient. We like that. Why? Because the first ingredient should always be meat. You want to be paying for meat, which is what costs money. Cereals and whole grains and all that sort of stuff doesn't cost as much. Rice doesn't cost as much as sirloin. It's common sense. We want to be feeding our dogs more meat and fewer carbohydrates. But then again, we have maize grits, we have barley, we have animal fats, we have fresh chicken, 4.8%. So they say on the front of the bag, fresh chicken. It says, well, it's fresh chicken. I must be feeding my dog fresh chicken. When in reality, you are feeding your dog 4.8% fresh chicken. The rest will be rendered chicken or heavily processed chicken, and we don't really like that. It's a marketing ploy, it's a marketing tactic to make you believe that you are feeding your dog fresh chicken, and you are feeding your dog fresh chicken, but only 4.8%. And again, you have maize grits and barley and animal fats, unspecific and inflammatory ingredients ahoy. So again, we don't like it and we wouldn't recommend this. And the last one, Chappy. We have the dry adult dog food. And I want you to read along with me, because they say Chappy dog food is one of the oldest brands of pet food on the market in the UK, which is true. Veterinarians trust and recommend Chappy. Remember that anytime a vet recommends Chappy, just remember this video. And when we toggle and see the nutrition analysis, the first ingredient again is cereals, including whole wheat, 4%. So 4% is whole wheat, the other 96% is other cereals. And then we have the good old meat and animal derivatives, which is 15%, and 4% chicken. The rest are other meat and animal derivatives. And then we have oils and fats and derivatives of vegetable origin. So let's say you have a problem. Let's say your dog is trying to put weight on, lose weight, has diabetes, has any sort of allergy. We have a nutrition allergy. We have an intolerance to a protein. We have runny stools on a recurring basis. And we can potentially identify that it could be something nutrition. It could be that your dog is not getting enough protein. Your dog might have a flat coat. By giving your dog a small amount of meat and animal derivatives and 4% whole wheat and 96% of that cereals, are you going to be helping your dog's case, or are you going to be making the problem worse? In my opinion, you will be making the problem worse. You will not know what you are feeding the dog. These companies don't want to tell you because they want to keep the cost low and they want to maximize profits. And listen, we would not recommend any of these foods. We do not support this sort of industry. We don't want to feed our dogs meat and animal derivatives, and I don't think you should be feeding your dog meat and animal derivatives and cereals and whole grains and barley, maize and maize grits. So we do not sell and we do not recommend any of these foods. If you truly want to find out good foods and what's reliable, we only sell a few selection of extremely good foods. They are much better than these, and you will be able to recognize all the ingredients and they will sound a lot better. Your dog will be a lot better off with one of our foods than with one of these. And remember that we could be selling these and we could be telling you that these are great. And if a vet recommends something, we could say, hey, yes, we support what the vet is saying and buy it because it's going to help you and it's going to help your dog. But in our opinion, and with what we see day in and day out, feeding your dog meat and animal derivatives won't be as good as feeding your dog high quality ingredients. So maize grits and barley and rice won't be the same as feeding your dog much better ingredients. So for a selection of something you can actually give your dog and that your dog is not going to have any problems with, please click on the link below and let me know what you feed. What do you think? If you feed one of these foods, then phenomenal. I'm happy for you. Why do you feed it? Is it because your dog's been on it forever and you just want to carry on? You don't see any problem with it, and you just say the dog is fine, the dog has always been fine, and that's okay. But yeah, more power to you. In our opinion, these aren't very good foods. We don't think we should be feeding our dogs too many cereals and the meat and animal derivatives. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.